sheet. Island Center. They're having a big event on May the 28th for Memorial Day weekend. And it's an arts and music festival. And they need some help in the parking management area. So it's from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. It's a Saturday, May 28th. So they're asking us to help them out in directing traffic around their parking lot. So it's a nice way to spend the day. I've done it once or twice, and complimentary food. You get to enjoy the music and the arts as well. So I'll send this sign-up sheet, and it's coming around to the tables. Pass it on to the next table. If you're interested, please put your name on there. Again, that's Saturday, May the 28th, from 10 in the morning till 4 in the afternoon.
For who?
The Barrier Island Center. Vic.
Yeah, we'll be in Savannah.
Oh, really? That's your second time going there. You liked it.
All right, next order of business. We had some new members, full members. They've been indoctrinated with Fireside Chat, and we're looking for mentors for these new members. So Bill Payne and Jackie, does that make sense that Bill Payne should be Jackie's mentor?
No, it makes no sense. No. Chuck, are you crazy?
Or should it be the other way around?
It will be the other way around. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Paul.
All right. Okay, well, Paul's
Please don't make me her mentor.
Okay, Chip Miller, also, we need a mentor.
I'll be Chip's.
Okay. Bill Payne.
You're in trouble.
And Dave Wilcox.
That can be Dave's.
We need a mentor for him.
Here you go.
Okay, and Bill Stram. And Betty Bivens, Dr. Bivens, we need a mentor. Okay, and that'll be Reggie.
No, it can't be the same person.
Oh, okay.
Who says?
I said.
I'll ask Ken and Dolores. We want the same mentor. Does it make sense? You have one mentor. So for Dolores and Ken, we're looking for a mentor, one mentor for both. Okay, Randy.
And who took that?
Nobody.
That was Reggie.
I'll take
No,
but you
Reggie.
sponsored it, right? Okay.
Yeah, a lot of times the sponsor does become the mentor.
No, it's never allowed that.
Okay.
He's not here.
All right. Not sponsor. Okay.
You want?
Send over there.
All right.
I'd like to mentor John Burgess.
I think there's a lot more you'd like to do to John Burgess. Okay, and then Joan Natali, mentor. Okay, we got Reggie, and then I volunteered to be mentor for Jim Rich.
Jim doesn't need to be mentored.
No, he doesn't, but he and I are working close together. He and I are working close together.
He's been a Rotarian for 87 years.
All right, and I want to remind you, we have the Norfolk Tide. I said Norfolk because that's how they say it over there. If you're from Baltimore, though, you say Norfolk. The Norfolk Tides game is Sunday, May the 15th. And we want to get all sign-ups finished by when, Bill?
Yesterday.
We got 12 people going. Most of the people have paid me. The ones that haven't know who they are. So that's it, $15 a person.
Okay, and what's your cutoff date?
Today. Whenever.
Okay, so the 14th, the day before then?
Well, no, they can pay me at the game. They can pay me.
No, he means committing for the game.
The game.
Yeah.
Everybody's committed for the game.
Okay, all right, you're all committed. Okay, so we're arranging rides. And I know that Bill Payne and Bill Stram are both driving. Who are the other drivers? Do we have them?
Jim
Okay,
Rich
we
is,
have Reggie.
and Jim Rich, you're driving by yourself?
I'm bringing a date.
Okay.
Well, I know that, but I mean,
I can't. I don't know who else is.
okay,
I'll
so
figure it out.
I'm
all
full.
the other, everybody else is taken care of.
Okay, and be sure to, of course, pay for your ticket. Would help a little bit too if you paid a little bit for gas and for the tolls as part of your payment. That just kind of be, you know, a little charitable there.
Ken, I'm not charging you a surcharge.
No, it's volunteer only.
That's because he's,
But Stan,
yep.
I ride for free.
Okay, one other thing, and I talked to the new members when we did the fireside chat thing. Everybody else, I'll remind you that back in the day before the pandemic, if you weren't wearing your Rotary pin, you got charged if somebody ratted you out, $1 fine for not wearing your Rotary pin. We're going to kick that back into action on June 1. So be sure to wear your pin. If you need a pin, let me know. We've got some over here. But remember, as of June 1, if somebody rats you out because you forgot to wear a pin, it's going to cost you $1. So bring $1 or bring your pin, one or the other. Let's see. I'm going to let Jim Rich talk a little bit about the committees.
Okay. It is going to be committee sign-up season, and we're asking everyone to sign up for to work on 2 committees for the coming year. Starting with fundraising. That's pretty apparent. John Burtis is going to be chairing the committee, and the first project is going to be the crab cakes. And by the way, these are kind of organizational positions. I'm not saying who's gonna show up, you know, to scoop crab. It's sort of who's going to help with actually getting the events together. Fundraising, community projects. Stan is going to take that on. Social committee, we're going to need that most immediately for the annual meeting, which is going to be the last Tuesday in June. We will meet in the evening. I believe it's going to be here, but that's one of the questions that the social committee needs to resolve. We need membership, and I'd really like to see some women on that committee, because I really think that we ought to build our membership of women. Newsletter committee, that's just we have a very able editor, but I'm sure she can use a backup on occasion. Public image, that's going to be the website and the Facebook largely, and Facebook page. Youth development, that's going to be a big project for the coming year. And we have hopes of rekindling the Interact Club at Northampton High. We already have one that's is very strong at Broadwater, and I believe Bill would like to get a Rotaract committee going at the community college. He's definitely going to need help on that. I've put greeters down, even though we're going to be having all of our new members also help at the door, but we need both a backup for Ken, just in case he, for some reason, decides to go on vacation, or even, I hope not, fall ill. And then we have an international. We don't actually have anyone or anything going on the international committee. If there's anyone who wants to take that under the wing. And I have speakers committee, and we probably have enough, but if someone really wants to help out, you know, finding people, that would be great. I'm going to pass this around. Please put your name in the left-hand column and select 2 committees for the coming year. We'll be passing this around next week as well if you have any questions.
I have a question.
Yes.
Why isn't the Invisible History Committee on this?
Okay, well, it's a big fan well, largely well, do you need more?
Always.
For what? Okay, that's great. All right, we're gonna add that.
Why isn't the foundation committee on there?
Good. What is it? Okay.
It's only one person.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just.
No, it's not just, it doesn't have to be just one person.
No.
Okay.
That's what we
All
have
right.
now.
I'll add him right now. Thank you.
Foundation. I'll be an advisor to the board.
Okay, just before we had lunch, I made an announcement about formula shortages again. You're probably seeing on the news pretty bad shortages for newborns and formula for them across the nation. And it just kind of threw it out there to think about. What can we do to help? I don't expect us to go out shopping for formulas and so forth, but maybe you know an organization here on the shore that helps new mothers and guides them through things like how to get formula, where to get formula. And of course, we also have the situation where the prices are probably going up quite high, and we could have some people that need a little help financially with newborn babies. Does anybody have any ideas? I'm going to ask Dr. Clark, actually. Are you seeing or hearing about problems with new mothers and getting their baby formula and so forth down here?
I haven't heard of anything locally, but there could be something. We don't see that many newborns or that type of thing, so I'm not sure.
Okay. Do you know of any organizations that help new mothers in either Accomack or?
There's a group called Smart Beginnings, and they do a lot.
Yeah.
So if you're going to try to latch on to somebody that's already involved, that's how it work.
All right. All right. Smart Beginnings. We've done some. We package up new carry bags for new mothers and so forth for that organization, don't we?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. That's a good idea, work with them. Can you send me a contact person's name?
I said I would talk to Linda Schultz.
Okay. All right.
What about social services?
Yeah,
They would certainly know.
yeah, social services. If I will look them up and see if I can come up with something.
There are a couple of people there. We work with the baskets for Christmas, Thanksgiving. So I can reach out to them.
Okay, okay, I appreciate it. Yeah, like I say, I'm not looking for us to start a formula giveaway program, but I'm looking to work with other organizations that may take some donations from us financially. Of course, any hands-on thing we can do, we would help with that as well. Anybody else with ideas or thoughts about helping with the issue with shortages of baby formula? Okay, if you think of anything, you can shoot me a quick message. This sounds pretty bad, everything I'm seeing on the news. All right, well, let's cheer things up a little bit. How about some happy dollars? Any happy dollars? People happy out there?
Yes.
John?
I'm happy to report that I finished a visit to my third Ivy League school in 10 months. And have yet to trip off the white trash alarm. I don't know how we went to Dartmouth. We went to Dartmouth this weekend. If you haven't been there, I have not. It is a beautiful place.
School,
it's
yeah.
just fabulous. So anyway, we're taking a nephew around to Ivy League school. So I had to trip up the weekend. Great. $10.
$10, okay. Bill Payne.
Well, of course, I can never match John's performance, but I will, I'm happy to the tune of $5 because Jackie and I are going to Ocean City, Maryland for a few days. Jackie's feeling very lucky. So we're leaving this afternoon. God knows when we'll come back.
Oh, she didn't even know she was going.
Are you going together?
Different cars.
Jackie's a little nutty. Just a little.
Go ahead, Paul.
I've got $5 happy because my granddaughter who lives with us, Josie, and I were in an Easter Post Friday's edition. We actually were on the front page. You couldn't quite make us out. But there's a more close-up picture of my granddaughter on the second page holding a worm that's about that long.
Oh.
Yes, my wife found it and said, oh, that's Josie and Doc.
I think that's worth $3, don't you?
You hear that, Paul? That was a lot for me.
I'll tell you something else kind of funny. I've been reading back through all the archives of the Post, Eastern Shore Post. It was 2017, I believe, and there in that edition was Bill Payne and Jackie Chapman celebrating their 17th anniversary together. They were in a picture of both of you in that paper.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
How did they know it was 17?
Talk to you.
You must have told them because you were in the paper.
Really?
I missed that.
I'll send you a link to
And I
it.
think you ought to pay $5.
I will. Up me another $5.
They've been good for 20 years. They've been happy for 17. That's about right. Hi, Jackie. I love you.
I know you do, John.
Go ahead,
I'd
Jim.
like to put $10 in, because I'm very proud of my son, and $2.50 of that is going to be because he's got a new job. $7.50 is because he's got a new girlfriend.
Okay. Any more happy dollars? Go ahead, Ryan.
I've got $10 happy. My oldest granddaughter has just finished dental school.
Wow.
Yeah, I think she's going to go to both. So there you go.
Okay, more happy dollars?
I've got a happy dollar.
Go ahead, Rose.
I've got 7 happy dollars. And you'll all find out how you get them in a minute. When I get up to
Okay. Fair enough. Go ahead, Sharon.
I have 15 happy dollars for the 15 days I'm going to be on the train starting Monday.
All right.
Around the country.
Around the country,
All right.
coast to coast and up and down the coast.
You're not going with Ann Berg, are you?
Yes, part of the way. Then
Yeah.
I'm going on and she's staying in Seattle.
All right. That's all.
Well, this is the right time of the year for it too. I always like the wilderness areas. I'm not a big city person, so I used to like riding during the summer, obviously, from Chicago going out towards Seattle, the northern route. So you go through Montana, North Dakota, Montana, Idaho. It's nice out that way. It's just you look and you can look for miles and miles and not see anything or anybody. I always like that. Same thing in the Southwest. Once you get west of San Antonio and between San Antonio and El Paso, it's just a whole lot of nothing, but it's beautiful. If you've never seen the desert in bloom, that's something to see as well. Okay, any more happy dollars? All right, well, I would like to bring up Rose, and we're going to hear what her $7 and happy dollars was all about. Rose is the executive director of Eastern Shore Literacy Council. She's put some materials out on your tables, and I'm interested because I have a 1.5-year-old great-granddaughter. She'll be visiting me in a few months, and I'm looking for ideas to entertain her. Always like books. I'm going to get some coloring books and so forth. But Rose, let me turn it over to you. And thank you for being our guest today.
Can I turn this on? Can everybody hear me without this?
Yes. To the people on Zoom.
Can you hear me?
Muted.
Diane, can you hear?
I'm not sure Diane can hear.
That's all
That's
right.
why she has a picture.
She ought to come to a meeting.
All right. I'll do my best here.
She can probably hear you.
Can she?
Yeah.
Okay. I've never been accused of not being able to talk loud enough that somebody somewhere.
Just come over here a little bit.
Didn't hear me. Okay.
Good,
I'll come-
right there.
I'll come this way. Oh gosh, I'm up there too. All right, I do have $7 happy. I know Rotarians are always eager to get involved. So, but I have education in my past background. So I never liked pop quizzes, but you guys are all going to get involved in one now. You know, didn't like them when I was in school or college, but here we go. So, and happy dollars will help this. True or false? Basic education and literacy is one of 6 Rotary areas of focus.
Yes.
And we know that because as I was going through archives, I came across in my files.
Oh, wow.
And this actually is an older one because this one was effective through the year 2000, and Rotary International has since updated this. So good job, everybody. Okay. I always loved books. I don't remember learning to read. It was just something I always did. And I was a reader from the time I was young. But A, who said this? A, Groucho Marx, B, Mark Twain, or C, Dolly Parton?
Dolly Parton.
Mark Twain, Dolly Parton. What Dolly Parton? And now to just a couple of Literacy Council questions. Many of you in this room, how many in the room have volunteered or attended an event that the Literacy Council has sponsored? No one. Okay.
You failed.
Okay, now I know where I can get the next group of people to come to somewhere. I'm going to volunteer to be a tutor. We're looking for tutors. You know, we're looking for ambassadors. We're looking for people to help us recruit learners. So I have a room full of Rotarians who, the Literacy Council was organized in A, 1986, B, 1987, or C, 1988.
In 1986, a group of local residents.
She's written it on her hand. That's right. Good job. See, she learned. Okay, I don't think this next
On the
one's
back.
on the informational part though. All right. The Eastern Shore Literacy Council first board president back in 1986 actually became organized in 87. A, Betsy Mapp, who I know some of you know. B, Ida Williams, retired school teacher. C, Mary Peacock.
A.
B.
Mary Peacock.
It was Mary Peacock. Mary was the original founder of the Literacy Council. She started it with a group of individuals between Northampton County and Accomack County. 1986, mid-summer, early fall, and it became incorporated and organized then officially in 1987, but she started it in 1986 with a volunteer group of people. And actually the Literacy Council was all volunteer run until 1990, when the Literacy Council got its first executive director. So that's the last question. The first executive director was Mary Peacock, Betsy Mapp, or Valina Gibb.
Miss Gibb.
Yeah, she's new to us. We'll go that Miss Gibb.
Betsy Mapp.
Oh.
Another Northampton, yeah. So, so the organization has been around for a really, really long time. On the table are cards, and I'm not going to go over everything on it. It's what we do, how we do it, when we began, and what people can do to help. One of our challenges, and I was looking over old newsletters, and in 1987, they were looking to recruit tutors and learners. In 1988, the newsletter said, we are looking for tutors and learners. in the year 2021 and 2022, we're looking for tutors and learners. So over 36 years, that cycle really has remained the same. There have been periods of time when there have been large numbers of tutors and large number of learners, but through the years, that has changed. And I was hired in March of 2020, and we all know what happened in March of 2020. And we came back probably about maybe 8 months or so ago, and many of our tutors have still not returned, and many of our learners have not returned for a variety of reasons. Some of them have moved out of the area, some of them have taken jobs. Many of our tutors are retired and they have moved on to other projects. So one of the things that Rotarians and as ambassadors of education and learning and literacy, every organization out there is always looking for money, of course, but we need, even beyond that, ambassadors who can help us recruit learners. Where can we go? Can you talk about to your friends, to your network, to your business associates, to your church leaders? The people are out there, and we know that. You also have on your desks. One of the things I was asked was to try and tie numbers to Northampton County or Cape Charles. And this is a chart that has come out of a study that's done every 5 or 6 years. And I tried, although they're state figures, I tried to break it down so that you could see some Northampton County and Accomack County percentages as well. And poverty is certainly linked to literacy and low levels of literacy. And we all sort of know where the poverty rates are in Accomack and Northampton counties. So at your leisure, please, sort of take a look at that. This is also available online. This data and this PAC map actually came out of the Barbara Bush Foundation website. So there's some pretty interesting data there. And then I just want to, yes.
How do they define below basic literacy?
Most of the time, the literacy is looking at the ability to read at 4th grade level. And so those that have skill sets below that are looking at below basic level literacy rate. And that's really the focus of what the Literacy Council does is the Adult Basic Education Department at the community college, and we work sort of hand in hand with them. They take learners that are reading at 5th grade level and above, and they refer to us, and we tutor one-on-one those adult learners reading at or below the 4th grade level. And so that's sort of that cutoff point that they look at as far as below basic literacy. And the majority of our learners that I've seen are probably somewhere in that kindergarten, 1st, 2nd grade group. And the challenge is for adult learners is saying that they need that help. Many are what we would call functional illiterates in that they have lived their entire lives working and living and functioning at a high level, even though they're reading at a 3rd grade or below. They've had support from family members, co-workers, and so as an adult, it becomes very hard for them to say, after 40 or 50 years, I need help now learning how to read.
Yeah.
So that's a challenge for the community. And I think how we reach those individuals is through all of us knowing someone or that you have an established relationship with, or someone who you may have worked with, or a relative of someone. And even then it becomes difficult. I had a phone call a couple of weeks ago from a relative of a 65-year-old male who had lived with family for most of his adult life. And those family members are now deceased. And she said he really needs to improve his English speaking skills. But he's functioning. He has worked for 30, 40 years. And after getting his approval to contact him, we called him. And I think he's going to start coming to us, but it's taken us almost 3 weeks of talking to him and building a relationship with him, because he said, I've worked for 40 years. I drive a car, I have a home. I don't know that I want to learn to read better than I currently read, you know? And so it's difficult, but he wants to read his Bible. He wants to be able to read that more and to understand that more. So we've been talking to him, building a relationship with him over the last 3-4 weeks. And I think he is going to start coming to us. But the other challenge is tutors. Most of our tutoring is done one-on-one, and many of our tutors are older and have decided to, you know, pursue other interests or just take time off. I think COVID has just done that, and the appreciation is because it's a commitment. Our tutors will commit usually 2 to 4 hours a week with the learner, and the learner also commits that same amount of time. And those schedules are set up independently, but it's still a commitment. And I think once you become a tutor, I've heard from several tutors who have said, I've gotten more out of it from them than they have gotten from me. Let me just share a couple of really quick stories with you, and from sort of what we do, and then I'm going to give you a follow-up. This is a young lady that we highlighted a couple of years ago. Her name is Asaman, and she says, I came to the United States from the Black Sea in Turkey. I began working with the Literacy Council about 7 years ago. When I first started, I had trouble expressing myself. I was embarrassed to speak English. It was frightening for me that people did not understand me, but the teachers and everyone I met were very helpful. Being together with friends in a classroom is a combination of different cultures with love and respect. We shared our troubles with each other, and everyone struggled with many of the same problems. We were both learning and getting to know each other. When I work with my tutor, I feel very comfortable. I was able to ask everything that I did not know very easily, and this helped me a lot. Now I am trying to talk without fear, the more confident getting in touch with people. I volunteered at Riverside Shore Memorial Hospital. I wanted to be involved in the community. I'm very happy to help people who needed help. And then she goes, the Literacy Council has helped me and many others. Thank you for making us feel that we are not alone, and for helping people with love and respect without discriminating between religion, race, and language. And Asima was a nurse in Turkey before she moved to the United States. And following up, Asima just graduated last week with her CNA certificate from the community college. And she invited her tutor to attend that ceremony. And her goal now is to work in that field and then to work toward her nursing degree at the community college. So, so we have international students. And then just one other briefly is Ruby. My name is Ruby. I was born in Accomack County in 1950. When I was a child, I went to T.C. Walker School and Mary L. Smith. Sometimes my teachers would go too fast, so I didn't get my education. I stopped in the 10th grade. I had to go to work. I already had my daughter. My second daughter was born after I quit school. My son is my youngest. The most important thing to me was that my children get the education I didn't get. So all three graduated from high school. All my children graduated from college. All my grandchildren went to college too. I am proud of my life, my children, and the life I gave them. I worked hard all my life. I wanted my children to have the best education, so that's what I did. Once my children were grown and on their own, it was time for me. My goal was to get my GED. I'm not ashamed to keep trying. I had 9 literacy tutors. I never stopped. Sometimes when the tutor would help me, they had to go help other students, so I never learned enough. Now I have a tutor that really helps me, and I know how to spell words and read books more easily. My advice is to anyone who cannot read, don't be ashamed, go get help, because anyone can learn to read and spell better. And both of these stories were actually written by those students with some help from their, of course, tutors. And the follow-up on Ruby is, Ruby left the program a month ago, not because Ruby wanted to leave the program. Her tutor moved out of the area, and Ruby has no transportation. Ruby lives in Exmoor. She was being tutored at Hare Valley, and we have tried to find transportation for her. She doesn't have a vehicle, so she's unable to drive. On demand for Star Transit, she cannot get to the on-demand pickup point. So transportation is a huge barrier for many of these learners. Ruby needs tutoring. She wants to be tutored, but doesn't have the access to be able to get to a location where we can tutor her. We have another adult male down here in lower Northampton County. He also has a transportation barrier. He was trying to get the Star Transit bus to get him up to the community college. He has some health issues. He has no car. He has no transportation. There is no close by pickup spot for even Star Transit to get him up the road. So it's one of the challenges we meet with our adult learners. We have locations in lower Northampton County, the library, we have churches all the way up to northern Accomack County. But our adult learners, many of them just don't have a way to get to those locations. So that's something, you know, that I talk to individuals about. Is there anything out there? What can we do for some of these? These are adults who want to learn. It's just how do they get access to those services when they need them and want them? So anything that any of you can suggest, help with? Yes.
Is technology out of the question?
For many of these, yes. And part of that is access to the internet. That's still a barrier here. During COVID, we tried to do a little bit with, I attended several webinars, and it was always about Google Classroom, you know, Zoom, WhatsApp. And our learners, most of them have cell phones, but not laptops of any kind. And learning, especially if you're a non-English speaker, and even if you are, trying to learn on a cell phone, on an app is extremely difficult. And Zoom meetings, we've all been, I think most of us have been in Zoom meetings, Google Classroom meetings. And even with technology, it's not always the easiest to stay focused and to stay on task with those. So technology has not worked well with the level of learner that we have. And then there's the barrier of Northampton County or Accomack County. You get down some of these necks and there is no internet access for them. And then they need laptops or they need tablets, you know, to do something. So the one-on-one works the best because it's me and you. And if you're having, you know, difficulty, it's easier than technology. Technology is great in some cases. It has not worked well for our level of learner that we have. So I'm happy to answer any questions. I don't want to take up too much of your time because I know all of you are busy and want to go, but I want to get to the Dolly Parton piece too. Yes.
The lower left graphs is what really surprises and concerns me. So you have 4 categories here of race, and it's pretty widespread of who does better or who does worse by race. Why is it they're all white, Hispanic, Black, and Asian are sitting in the same classrooms with the same teacher? Why is there such a big spread who is below basic reading level when they're sitting and learning exactly the same things in the classroom?
I don't have an answer to that.
Okay. It just
could be a variety of, you know, could be a variety of things.
I don't think this is a reflection of in the classroom, because it's probably that those who are doing least well weren't in the classroom or dropped out of
These are
being,
fourth graders.
oh, at the top.
Good.
Oh, okay.
Well, and sometimes, you know, some instances, we have had a couple of learners who, they're older now that have come to us, but they may have had learning disabilities that went undiagnosed. You know, years ago, learning disabilities weren't sort of identified or recognized. And so children were passed. Now, that doesn't necessarily reflect now in this number. But there are various reasons for, you know, that they could. I don't have an answer to that.
The other side of it is on the right side that is actually good news, and surprises me as well in a good way. And it's households where limited English is spoken, not spoken well. It's only 3% in Accomack and only 1%. So, I mean, people are very good at speaking English well. So again, it kind of doesn't make too much sense that they're having trouble reading, but it's not a problem with English to Spanish translation or anything like that. It's just bewildering why these numbers on the left are what they are.
Well, and I think part of that goes back to that functional illiteracy, is that they speak, they function, they work, they hold down jobs, they do all of that. It's just that if you're giving them academic achievements at 4th grade or 5th grade or whatever, that's where they fall behind.
Yeah.
I'd like to add to that. Those that are in the high percentages, they have parents or they live in a single parent home. They don't have, the parents don't have the time to spend with them, to help them, to teach them.
Or even the education.
Or the education, that's important too. So it's very little there to break that cycle.
Well, you would hope that the schools take that as a primary goal.
Learning starts at home.
Right, and the other thing is if they don't have the capability, it's unlikely they can transfer what they need. They can't help them. And they also are tired from having worked 2 jobs or 3 jobs. There's a number of things that come together that have a negative impact on the ability to improve their educational competency.
Yeah.
The tutoring business, I had this idea, it was residential. It's not residential, it's at a school or public site or something. I mean.
Yeah, we use churches. Okay. We use the public library. We use space at the community college.
Okay, so then if you were to take on a student, is there screening done so that we know when you come in what he or she might do or what they're functioning at? Yeah,
we try and do some pre-assessments. Mm-hmm. Generally, you'll get a feel for sort of the level where they are just in talking to them. You're almost able to tell. There are some guidelines out there that learners should be pre-tested before they ever start. But you can do up to like 12, 14 hours before you do an early assessment. What we have found, at least since we've come back from COVID, is many of our adult learners, asking them to take a test, first off, they're gone. Yeah. I mean, they're out the door. You know, we've tried calling in an assessment. That doesn't fool them. You know, they know that's just a fancy word for you're going to test me. So what we've started to do is to let the tutors work with the learners and build up a certain trust with them and do 12, 14, 15, 16 hours and then do an assessment to sort of see where they are. Because you can pretty much tell going in if someone's at kindergarten level or 1st or 2nd grade level. And once we have a tutor, we match tutors and learners. Part of that is based on location. Part of it is based on time availability. And then the schedule is between the tutor and the learner. If the tutor and learner want to do Tuesday, Thursdays at 6 o'clock at night, at the Cape Charles Library, then we make those arrangements to meet on Tuesday, Thursday nights at the Cape Charles Library.
Last question, you provide the materials that
Yes.
are geared toward what you're trying to.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, and the tutors are trained. We provide tutor training. We do in-person training, although we have pulled back from that again because of COVID. In about 2019, we went to a online tutor training program through Pro Literacy, which is a national literacy organization. There are 2 tutor modules that you can work at your own pace. And then once those are completed, certificate of completion, you're at that point able to tutor, and we provide all the materials. We have a myriad of different educational books and dictionaries and Pictionaries in different languages and English only and life skills and workbooks. And yeah, so the tutors provided all the materials that they need. And then they work with the learner sort of as a starting point. Like, you know, we have one learner who's really, really interested in sports. So that's sort of the starting point for that individual. Ruby's starting point was she really wants to learn how to read the Bible better. So we're teaching her, her tutor was teaching her skills. I'd love to be able to get Ruby back in the program because she wants to come back so desperately. But without transportation, I haven't been able to wave my magic wand. But to your point about families and parents and spending time with children, et cetera, it's sort of a segue into the Dolly Parton Imagination Library piece, which centers around family literacy. And we see, and I see, a tie between parents reading to their children. And not only does that develop the children's skills so that they're more prepared in kindergarten and first grade and second grade, but for those adults, even older siblings, if they're reading to those children, they are improving their English speaking skills. And there are books on your table of just various age groups. The Dolly Parton Imagination Library, there are 6 age groups, and there's a blue ribbon select committee that picks these books out every year. There's activities that are included usually when the book comes if parents want to do them. But the 6 groups are up to 5 years of age. So a child that's born in 2022 has the ability to receive a book through the Dolly Parton Imagination Library for 5 years. So that's 60 books. Part of it is for children to build home libraries. It is not income-based. This is an international program. The Dollywood Foundation sends out over 1 million books a month. And what they have are affiliates across the world who are the local sponsors of the program. The program started on the Eastern Shore on Chincoteague back in 2019 with the Kiwanis Club. And then about early last year, we were approached by the coordinator of that program to offer it off of Chincoteague Island because he was continuing to get requests from parents who wanted their children to receive these books. So the Literacy Council took up the mantle and we applied to the Dollywood Foundation and we were accepted into the program. The books are free, they're non-income based, they're free to the families, they come in the name of the child, they're age appropriate, but they do cost. They cost an affiliate on average $2.10 a book. Our goal the first year, there are about a little over 600 children in Northampton County. There's about 1,800 in Accomack County that are age eligible because they have to be under the age of 5. There's like 616 children in Northampton County who are age eligible. But our goal for the whole program, there were about 2,400 when we wrote our first grant for the program. Our goal at the end of the first year, which would have been September of 2022, was to have 20% of that total number of children registered. Within the first 2 weeks, we had 126 children registered. And we are now at the 1st of May, we have, between the 2 counties, we have 505 children that are registered for that program. So that program is now costing us about $1,000 a month. You know, but those children, if they come on when they're born, unless they move, they will continue to receive a book. Their only requirement is you need to have an Eastern Shore address, anywhere from Cape Charles to the Maryland line. If you have an Eastern Shore mailing address, you can sign up your grandchild, you can sign up your niece or nephew, you can, you know, they just need to have a local Eastern Shore mailing address. And just to give you some Northampton County numbers of the total number, there's 138 registered in Northampton County, and 41 of those children are from Cape Charles, which is almost 30%. 14 of those children are from Sheraton. So between Sheraton and Cape Charles, you have 40% of that 138 that are registered. And the first books got mailed last November. And some of the best stories are, they come in the name of the child. And I had one mother 3 or 4 months ago came up to me and she was excited about the program. Her daughter is learning the alphabet and she's learning how to spell her name and she's learning, you know, all of these things. And every day they go off to the mailbox and they pick up the mail. And when the first book came, the little girl went out and her mom picked up the mail and the little girl looked at it and she said, "Mom, that's my name. Right. Is that my mail?" You know? And so now every month she looks for that book. And the books are mailed out staggered throughout the month. They're based on age groups. So a 1-year-old in group 1 would not get a book mailed at the same time. But when you're mailing out 1 million books a month, the Dollywood Foundation, they have it down to a fine art, I could tell you. I mean, you know, it goes.
So quick question for
yeah.
me. What if you have great-grandchildren who are out of this area? How would the program work for someone like that?
If it's in their area, all you need to do is go
outside this area.
Right, but if you go to www.imaginationlibrary.com, you can type in a zip code because it's a national and it's an international program. Okay. So you go to the website, imaginationlibrary.com, type in a zip code, and it will tell you if there's an Imagination Library in that area. Okay. If there is, all you have to do is register, and you will start receiving those books. We also have a paper application. We have an application in Spanish as well. 2 books a year come out as a bilingual book, as English and Spanish. 97% of those that are registered on the shore have registered online. We've only registered maybe 8 or 10 maybe using the paper application. We have sent packets of materials to the health departments. We're working with them so that they're visiting nurses and the nurses that go out to new mothers for home visits have filled them out. We're hoping to get into the hospital for new mothers because to get 60 books in the hands of children, especially in an area like this as well that is so rural, and getting to the stores and libraries is difficult. The other part of the program is once they turn 5, they graduate, and the Dollywood Foundation sends out a graduation book. But we wrote a small grant. It's not quite enough to cover everything, but one of the things we want to do is to send out an activity book, preparing them for kindergarten from the Literacy Council. So we think that that's a great benefit. But it promotes family literacy, it promotes reading in young children, and it's just a great program overall. But it is nationwide, so if you have grandchildren, just plug in their zip code. And if it's not in the area, then advocate for it, because that's how we got it. And David came to us and said, hey, there's children on the shore, everybody should be able to have this. And so the Literacy Council said yes. But it's a wonderful program, and we've written some grants to try and support it. If we reach our goal in 5 years, it will be, the cost will generally be about $32,000. So, any other questions?
I do.
Yes.
I want to know how many people in this room have ever heard of Nora Roberts Foundation.
Sounds familiar.
Okay, you all don't know that. She's a writer, she's an author, and I happen to read her books. That's how I know about it. I just finished reading one of her books yesterday. Just keep bringing you all up to date.
Thank you, Jay.
Women rule.
And she's very supportive of literacy.
Yeah.
And, we've actually had 2 grants from her in the last 2 years from her foundation.
Be sure to pick up the handouts that were on your tables. It does have the website address for the Dolly Parton organization and also for the Eastern Shore Literacy Council. So there's email addresses as well as the website and a telephone number if you'd like to become a volunteer for the organization here on the shore. And Rose, we thank you very much for stopping by today and kind of an education for me.
If you'd like to be a tutor, we're happy to have it.
Yeah.
Who takes my $7 happy for Rotary?
He's in the John, I'll take it.
I need to have, before I go though, I need a picture with somebody during COVID, because we couldn't get around very much. We had a contest, and the goal was that this owl would travel up and down the Eastern Shore. And he would help promote literacy and the Literacy Council and various other things. Well, he didn't make it very far. He did go to the Chamber of Commerce, and he did go to WESR, and he did go to A&N Title and Settlement in Exmoor. He did go to the Melfa Rotary Club, I will say, and there is a picture of all of the members, I believe, of the Melfa Rotary Club. At least Andre Elliott and Charlie Russell, I think, were in that picture, but I think everybody, John T. Williams was too, I think. But anyway, now that COVID is slightly over, I don't know, we had a contest too, and the winner, a contest to name it, and the winner was Know It, Owl, Knowittt. So this is Know It, you know, and so hopefully now that COVID is over, Know It will get to travel a little bit more and pick up something from every place that he visits. Now, I don't know what the Cape Charles Rotary Club might have for him.
We can
give Noah a pen.
This is the 4-way test Rotary Club pen compliments or.
There we go. So now he can take notes wherever he goes. And can somebody get a picture?
And he'll know how to write.
Yes. And if somebody can send that to my literacy here to me.
Stand next to the Rotary Club.
Oh, here you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. If somebody can send that picture.
Get Noah over by the Rotary Club.
Yes, you do. For our purposes.
Well, not for
Closer to the band.
You know, just
Get a little closer to the banner.
Closer to the banner.
Yeah, that's it. Because we're shameless self-promoters.
I was Rotarian. Well, that's all we do. I mean, you know, self-promote.
Great. And we have proof now that Noah was here.
That's right. Noah was here, and I will post Noah on our Facebook page if somebody emails that to me. I would be happy to. Thank you very much. Overextend by.
Bill, I unplugged you.
Not at all.
Okay, we're running a little bit long here, so why don't we close up? And if we could all stand, please. For the things we think, do, and say, number 1.
Is it true?
Number 2.
Bear no concern.
Number 3.
Will build goodwill and better friendships.
Number 4.
Will be beneficial to all concerned.
And we got Stan with us today. Number 5.
We will have fun.
Absolutely.
Stan's always with us.
Even when I'm not.
Thanks for those online. Thank you very much.
All right, goodbye.
Bye-bye.
No installation up there anymore.
Right.